The longest night of my life was July 18th, 2015. My marriage was falling apart. It was falling apart faster than I could pick up the pieces. I cried out to God, God, please don't let this happen to me. God, don't let this happen to my kids. 18 years. 18 years. God, I beg you, God, please don't let this happen. And I knew the only thing that would stop it, the only way I could possibly rebuild my marriage was if instead of trying to change her or trying to change other things, I had to change me. And so I set up this appointment and I went and I started unpacking my family of origin, and the counselor just started walking me through with what life was and what life looked like and what life should look like. And I had a meeting with my wife, and she asked me, she said, so Clay, are you trying to control the counselor? Are you trying to control the situation? Are you getting honest? Have you shared that memory? I'd never even shared it with her completely. We'd been married for 18 years and there were still parts of me that I was hiding. And so I can remember going to the session the next day and sitting on Trent's couch and saying, Trent, there's something I have to tell you. I started unpacking it with him, those memories from decades ago. Those memories that I had never truly told anybody. And I can just remember the tears and the agony, and it felt like a confession, to be honest. And at the end of a long hour, a draining hour, at the end, Trent looked at me with the most compassionate eyes and he said, Clay, I want to share something with you. And he took out his notebook and he started reading from August 4th, from a month ago. And he read the same story I had just shared with him. And as he did that, he said, Clay, I want you to know something. The enemy is not going to keep you down anymore. Once you break free from this, once you confess, that's when healing can begin. And although I had already shared it with Trent once, I had so much shame in my life over those events that I didn't even remember sharing it. And Trent told me something that day. He said, Clay, this is where healing is going to begin. And I want you to know it did. From that day forward, the healing started slow, step by step. I can't tell you exactly what happened. I can remember this. I can remember the very next month listening to music, and the music I was listening to was different. And I can remember going to some Bible studies and praying with some guys. And I can remember my hope starting to shift. My hope went from being in a woman and what she thought of me to being in Christ. And that's not to say I didn't pray for that marriage to be restored. I continued to pray, and those guys continued to pray with me. And we prayed for each other, and we prayed that God would restore what was broken. And I wish I could tell you that when God restored, it looked like, Adam and Eve, God restoring them together as a couple. But I guess my story looks a little more like David, a modern day David. God didn't restore that marriage. My circumstances didn't change. But what changed was that my hope was no longer in a woman. My hope was no longer in my children. My hope was no longer in a house or in what kind of car I had. My hope was in Jesus Christ. And I want you to know, I've been to counselors. I've been to 5 different counselors before I met Trent. That's why I believe that Christian counseling, I know the difference it made. Not for Bobby or Sue. I know the difference it made for Clay. And so, if you're broken, if you're laying your head on your pillow at night and you can't sleep, there is hope. There's hope for both of us. There's hope for all of us in Christ.